Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie Holder, and we have William on the phone for the World War III report tonight. I want to start off with the school shooting today, folks. And everything I know about these school shootings, I watch them close. Karen can tell you. If it happens, I'm on it. But I want to know what's going on. And they did get the kid. He's a 14-year-old. They said 13 for a while, and I heard 12. This is a child that will be charged as an adult. Will he claim the insanity plea? Um, so, what we know is he killed 4 people at the Georgia high school and wounded 9 others today. And he made threats online to commit a school shooting, the FBI said. In a joint statement, the FBI Atlanta Field Office and Jackson County Sheriff's Office said the um, Operations Threat Center received an anonymous tip in May about the threats posted online regarding a possible school shooting. The threats contain images of guns. Within 24 hours, investigators determined the threats originated in Georgia, and the matter was referred to the sheriff's department. They located at this point a 12, maybe 13-year-old male, interviewed him and his father. The father stated he'd been hunting guns in the house. The subject did not have unsupervised access to them. The boy denied making threats, and authorities alerted the local schools to monitor this kid. He's identified as Colt Gray, 14 years old, as a shooter who killed 2 students and 2 teachers at the Appalachian High School. Gray surrendered to authorities immediately after being surrounded and was taken into custody. He is expected to be charged as an adult with murder. As the follow the joint statement just released, the subject referred to as a 13-year-old is the same subject in custody that was threatening the high school numerous times. And at the time, the family resided in Jackson County, according to the FBI. The mother confirmed that her autistic son was killed in the Appalachian High School shooting. Georgia's officials deny reports that another 14-year-old or another suspect was in on the shootings. There was not multiple shooters. Now, Colt Gray, that opened fire at the school, like I said, he killed 4 people and injured at least 9. This was approximately 10 o'clock this morning, and around 2 hours after class had begun. Within minutes, law enforcement were on the scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned there to the school. They said there was a police officer patrolling the area, not even 2 blocks. That's why it was so swift. Now, here in Conway, folks, just because you don't hear it on the news, I found out both the junior high and the high school here get numerous threats all the time on social media also. But they don't warn the public. They don't warn the families or the parents, and they don't warn the students. The students know about it. I knew about 15 knife threats last year at the school my kids go to. There was quite a few threats of school shootings that I never knew about, and I asked the parents, and the parents knew nothing about it, folks. Now, William, you had I want to go to, because me and him talked about this right before we got on, because we got this gang members arrested in Aurora, connection to the apartment building takeover. Now, there was reports that there was a huge police raid. And I was like, oh, okay, let me start calling the people I know in Colorado, people that I know close to Denver. And they said, no, what they did is they kind of went in quietly and took out 3 leaders. So there's something going on. Now, if you look at the police reports for the last 3 years, there's hundreds of phone calls of these gangs and the crimes they're committing, to car thefts, to threats, to uh, people being mugged, or they're being robbed, their cars being robbed, the apartments being robbed, even an elderly couple that went out shopping and came back in. They started to come back in. The gang moved in as a home invasion, made them leave, and took over their apartment. They're having people moving out and the gangs moving in. And these are Venezuelan gangs. And so, what me and William were talking about is that there was a guy in Indiana. Go ahead, William. I'm going to let you tell it because you know more about what happened with this.
There's a small town in Indiana. They're having their end of summer baseball games, Little League. And, a lot of the families in town come out to watch. It's a big deal in these small towns. And this guy had rode on the railway from Colorado to Indiana the day before. He shows up somehow. Anyway, he was at the back of the dugout. They're not in the dugout, but behind the dugout. And a coach on third base saw him jump on a girl, knock her to the ground, pull out about a 21-inch knife, and just start slicing. And the slicing's throwing blood all over people on the bleachers. 10 men jumped out of the bleachers, went after this guy, and it took a manhunt, 20 hours to round this guy up. Anyway, he's from the Venezuela prison gang. And, he's doesn't look too good. He's missing half his hair. I don't know if he's got scabies or whatever. But, yeah. It's
So
tragic.
it might.
And I wonder whether or not he just came out. He was going to do this crime and then jump back on the railroad, go back to Colorado. If this is just an out, one attack and back. But he didn't make it back, so Indiana grabbed him up.
And so this is just out of the blue. I'm going to go slash. And what I was telling William on the phone, when I first started the show, I was looking heavily into the training camps for gangs from not in our country, the cartel, ISIS, anybody that wanted terroristic training. We had I think 10 camps here at the time. And back then it was gang rivals or rivals and enemies, or you were paid to kill. Now it seems like it doesn't matter. They're slashing and they're killing everybody. And there's something wrong. There's something wrong with this. And I said, William, I wonder if they're being paid to do this. And then I thought of, how about Death Race 2000, where they get points for killing people? Is a point system? Is this a game? What is going on with ISIS, the terrorists that came into our country, the gangs that came into our country? They're just killing just whoever. It's not an enemy. It's not who they're being told to kill, a paid contract. It's just slash and kill wildly. So,
yeah, this kid didn't know her. He just put his feet on the ground. Obviously, he doesn't probably know her if it's one day after he arrived.
Yeah, and in this apartment, this isn't just happening here. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in New York. Chicago is now complaining, and the gangs in Chicago are now going after these Venezuela gangs. Now, we've seen gang warfare, but we've never seen gangs have to go up against terrorists. We even have the Hells Angels want to go to Aurora, Colorado and get rid of these guys. This is gang warfare like we've never seen in history.
In Colorado today, we had 6 sleeping passengers. I can't remember what the breakdown is. It was either 4 men and 2 women, or 2 women and 4 men sleeping on the commuter train, and they were, executed.
Yeah. Now, Linda asked the question: was he flown in by the United States? We don't know, but most of the Venezuela prison gangs, and even out of Colombia and El Salvador and a few other places, yes, we flew them in right into Sanctuary City. And the thing about this is, you can't touch them. If they move into these apartment complexes, then all of a sudden they're homeless and they have rights. So we can't necessarily move them. We can't necessarily do anything if they're threatening people because they're under sanctuary. And it's a sanctuary city.
So in the United States, we believe all people are created equal. That's equal under the law. So they actually have to be, be able to be criminal.
They shouldn't be equal if they break the laws. I mean, I've even heard on cops, one of the police officers say that, because there's a sovereign citizenship, and they think they can break the law under this. Well, yeah, I know, but to me, it's kind of similar, William, and I don't mean to get way off on this, but this lady was telling this cop, I can drive drunk because I'm under sovereign law. And he said, no, you can't. You can't drive under the influence because it's a law. Well, she didn't have to follow the law because she was under this other law. And then she said she didn't even have to have a driver's license or registration for her car. And, I don't go against that. I mean, it's helped many, many people, but don't use it to break the law. And same way with this. They're breaking the law, but they're being protected.
If you're going to argue over laws, do it in a court of law.
There you go.
Don't do it on the street with people with guns. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, they even have a right to have a gun in their car and have an open bottle of vodka sitting in their lap with no lid.
No.
So this is crazy. And the thing about it, and what New Yorkers and Chicago and a few other states complain about, especially Sacramento, California, is they go before the judge, and because this is a Democrat judge, the judge releases them on, don't do it again. I understand where you're coming from. Just go and be good. And they got a long list of laws they've broken.
Every criminal is also, the second you grab them up, they're victims. They'll go through a litany of victimhoods they've been through. So they're not victims.
Yeah. So I kind of want to move on a lighter. I'm not even going to say a lighter note, but this little girl cracks me up since we're talking kids and being unruly. How about Greta Thunberg? You heard about this, William? She's heavy into extreme leftist communistic politics. And she was arrested at the Copenhagen on Palestinian demonstration. There was only about 20 people that blocked the university, and it led to 6 arrests. And she was one of them. And
well, that's a surprise.
And the other thing she was screaming about was climate change from 2016, that we're all going to die. Okay, so in 2016, they said we had 8 years to live, William. 2020, they said we had 4. It would happen 24 in between 2024 and 2028.
We all passed a couple months ago, so we can just move on.
No, it was everyone is going to die. What happened to that? Where's Bernie Sanders? I mean, he'd been screaming it since 1970 that, we only got 8 years left. And then we only got 8 years left.
Communists like the idea. It's a way to get into power before, they get rid of their climate model. Totally.
And as we're seeing with the solar panels and the wind generators, we're looking at a tax going into 2025 of close to $200 billion to replace what we just put up.
So they only last 10 years. They have to be rectified because they're DC and be turned to AC, and it has to be at the same frequency as our AC.
Good evening,
if they
Kathleen.
have extra juice, then it's got to be returned to the grid, so it's got to sync with the AC that's coming down the line, and it's not always, as perfect as the AC coming in from the power company. But these only last 10 years, and the rectifiers can be hacked.
Yeah. Okay. Now get this. And this one it doesn't crack me up because there's dozens of officials were executed. This was by North Korea's Kim Jong-un, reportedly ordered dozens of officials to be executed after deadly floods. Disaster prevention for causing the casualty cannot be allowed. That was his reason, William. Disaster prevention. Those officials who had neglected disaster prevention for causing the casualty that cannot be allowed. Darn it, no disasters, Kim Jong-un says.
Well, they have a typhoon in the South China Sea right now, and it's just dumping water.
Well, it's not. Kim Jong-un said no. There's no disasters, no hurricanes allowed in North Korea.
And there's no excuses. We're not going to have any houses flooded. We're not going to have any blown down. The streams aren't going to rise. The rain's not going to fall. You get the idea.
Wildest, there was a school shooting in Georgia. 2 teachers and 2 students were killed. So you might back it up and listen to the full report on it. I gave a pretty good report who he is, and he has threatened the school many times before, was what I was getting at. So he had threatened the school enough to where the FBI was called in, and they did notify the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department did tell the school to watch this kid. So, all right. So
why is an unarmed school watching a kid that's threatened lethal violence?
Because it's only a threat.
Is that like the dumbest thing you've ever heard?
Because the kid. But see, that's William. That's what we were talking about. All these kids that I said that these threats, and even show up to school with knives and guns. Nothing. As long as it doesn't happen, and it's only a threat, then why go any further? They do notify the families. But can a parent?
If this kid was threatening, and the sheriff's department failed, right? They failed. Half the responsibility is on that sheriff's department for those kids that are killed. That's on the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
They did not protect the community.
Yeah, and see, that's what it's going to come back at. And they did capture the kid. They said they surrounded him, and he automatically surrendered. But I just think he's going to probably go for the insanity plea. What gets me about mainstream media, folks, is what about the Florida school shooting? Do you guys even hear about it? That guy's still going through the court system, I believe. And he was allowed to hold up the court system, because normally, folks, get this. This case isn't going to go through the court system for 2 to 3 years. That's how backed up it is. It could be even more now. And if they do the insanity plea, then it goes another probably 6 to 8 months for him to be tested, because they bring the judge in, they start the court, and then they see that he needs to be evaluated, which delays it. And then they have many, many, many hearings. So the court cases, some of these don't even get into actual court for a jury to be pulled for 4 to 5 years.
Well, I don't know about insanity plea, but they could use the stupid plea.
And Linda said he should be. Oh boy, we got a lot of comments on this school shooter. He should have been expelled at least. Where's the school board and administration? You know, they got an opening for a school board member, and I'm tempted, but
He should have been
I don't have the
detained.
time. I don't have the time anymore.
He should have been detained in juvenile court, and he should have been in a diversion program. He shouldn't have been in school.
But we don't even, well, he was in mainstream schools. Now, there is what they call an alternative type of, it's for bad kids. Okay, this is what gets me. So you take a bad kid and you put him in a school of dozens of bad kids. Boy, there's a plot waiting to happen. You know, and that's what I've even told our school board here. And they you know, they're going to shut me up on this, but you know, it's no. They're all being treated. Well, if you put a criminal with a criminal with a criminal, they're going to come up with some really good ideas. You know, and that was my whole point. And why not expel these kids? Why move? You know, if they keep or you know, punish them and punish, and eventually just kick them out. And the whole thing that bugs me more than anything is we have 25-year-olds in school right now, in high school, because of the pandemic caused it. Some kids aren't even going to graduate till they're 25 years old, folks. So you've got adults going to school with your 14, 15-year-old kids.
Should I go back to school? I'm only 60.
You know, I want to go back, but they know the school system knows me here, and they think I'm a radical. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't make it back in school either.
But you know, even the when I was going against some of the school board to their legal people that go in the courts before the judge when you take your minors in for court. I come to find out she was on the city council. And when I was butting heads with her, she said, "Don't you dare come to the city council meeting." I said, "What? Why? We don't want you there." I said, "So if I go there, you're not going to let me speak." And she just shut up and walked away.
There.
And it was all over that, you know, they've got these counselors, okay, that watch the kids. They kind of help move the kids to the bus or watch the kids before or after school. And there was one at one of the schools here that she was mean and being a bully, and she would lie. And not only that, she was really good friends with Icing, the vice principal. And between the two of them, they were deliberately having problem students. I'm talking, they weren't threatening, and they didn't need to be in with the bad kids, but they were forcing them in with the bad kids. You're getting confused kids with maybe a little bit of depression or mental issue in with these bad kids, and they were beating them up, and nothing was ever done. That was my fight with her, is don't put them in with these people. Come on. So the school shooting, folks, yeah, this is just into the first few weeks. How many are we going to see this year? You know, and the sheriff, when he spoke, William, he said he never thought it would happen in his town. And I mean, he had tears, just the tears were flowing. He never thought this would ever happen.
They never do think.
And see, you know, I never thought the schools here would have as many threats as they did. And if it wasn't for my grandkids telling me, "Oh yeah, we get them all the time," and I'm like, "What?"
My dad was a police chief. It was every couple months, you know. Some kid doesn't want to take a test. So they have all these frivolous ones, right?
And yeah, William, the thing about this is that what gets me with these school shootings is they said the girl one of the girls opened the door and she seen he had a gun. And he threw the door open and he started shooting. And she ran to the class next door and alerted them. My thing is, they're teaching the kids to run to a corner and hide. Easy pickings. I'm sorry. You know me. I tell my grandkids, you pick up whatever you can, you pitch it at the window, and you jump. Get out of there. Don't be easy pickings. I mean, oh, let's lock ourselves in a little storeroom. Okay, most of them don't have locks. He opens the door and he shoots them all. I just, it's, this isn't duck and cover. These are our kids. And to me, break the windows and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, you don't do duck and cover, do evade and escape, please.
You know, duck under the desk and cover your head.
You know, if we have one of our people taken hostage in the military or a pilot shot down, whatever, our first job is evade and escape.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like hole up, have an extra dinner,
I would rather have my grandkids' legs cut up and arms cut up from a window than find out that they've been shot. And I think they need, Mary mentioned a protocol. The protocols in the schools are wrong. You don't hover all of you into one little area. It's a very bad idea. Because look at there was a college shooting probably about 8 years ago, and the guy opened the door and just shot them all. He started shooting them all. Not all of them died, because the bullets only go so deep, and the people on the outside's going to get it before the people huddled in the inside. But to me, like I said, that's easy pickings. There's got to be a better way to protect these kids, and I seen it with the last really big school shooting where they had these doors that was put on for the classroom. They're bulletproof, and once you lock them, they're not getting in. But oh no, the school says, oh, we don't have the budget for it. Let's just, how about we give the school advisors, administrators, and those in the state that are control of the schools, let's give them all raises and forget about protection for the kids. And it's getting crazy, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
Well, we've got people today that are telling young women that it's bad to have children because, you'll go crazy because 50% of parents are under stress.
Mm-hmm. And the colleges, I'm surprised we don't see a lot of it at the colleges, because at the regular high school level, they don't allow protests. The colleges do. And eventually it's just going to start because we got too many protesters that are willing to hurt people for no reason. Just like we were talking earlier with the gangs. It's just, they're going to hurt them just to hurt them. So,
we should talk fallacies sometime.
Yeah. So, we got the World War III report, and we still got quite a bit. The World War III watch, Germany is now saying they're under a World War III watch, and it activated their own defense system, citing Russia violence. They rushed their Iris-T air defense system into service on its soil for the first time in history. They've delivered several sophisticated systems to war-torn Ukraine to take down Russian rockets and drones. And in this decision, now Russia, they say, has turned their attention to Germany. So Germany said they now have to take the stance that they're going into World War III, and maybe even the rest of Europe, against Russia.
Well, the economic forums is in Germany, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, they're all having problems over there. Look at the protests in Paris.
Maybe
Um,
Germany feels guilty.
Germany's the same way, and uh, these are all protesters that are most of them are terrorists from the Arab lands.
Well, Germany's having a big push right now, going from liberal to conservative, and they're having protests over that right now because of
Hmm.
elections.
Yeah,
But they have had a lot of unrest from Middle Easterners.
yeah, and you know, and not to mention what's coming over um, with the border, and you know, this administration just keeps they just keep blowing this whole idea of terrorists coming over our borders, but um, there is, like in Del Rio, El Paso, a few of the border countries, and we talked about this before. See, but it's not just women and children. They said they haven't never seen many women and children, maybe less than 1%. What they're seeing is, and I've told you guys this, um, men 25 to 30 that are gang members, and they come across with masks. They're dressed in black with masks. And now these the not only residents but business owners. Um, One guy, Gary Humphrey, with a gun shop. I mean, yeah, he's definitely got to watch it. But many are seeing they are terrorist gangs starting to infiltrate their businesses, and not only that, but doing home invasions. It's almost what we heard with Aurora. But now the people along the border are loading up with guns. Now, see, William, this is why I think that you were talking about them going after the guns again. And get this, folks, please don't forget this. Where did these guys start getting these guns? Eric Holder, which is going to be a part of Harris's administration. Eric Holder with Obama under Fast and Furious brought the guns from the United States and gave it to them. Everybody that was down in Mexico that was a gang member, terrorist, or whoever, and they unloaded these guns. And now we've got Eric
70,000
Holder.
weapons.
Huh?
70,000 weapons.
Yeah, or more. That's the ones we know of. And then now, all of a sudden, we start seeing homemade bombs. Boom! Then all of a sudden, we started seeing um, explosives from the Middle East and terrorist countries, and then we start seeing ISIS in the middle. You know, there was 3 dozen men that were about 25 or 15 to 25 from Somalia that went across our border and they disappeared. We haven't seen them since. I've been trying to track them since because
So
they come from
they've lost,
like a prison gang.
they've lost 300,000 children, and all the terrorists.
And I'm
Where
gonna
are
go.
they? Nobody knows.
Yeah, yeah, thousands, thousands, thousands of kids disappeared. Well, they found
Yes,
hundreds of graves, but they found hundreds of graves in Mexico. Mexico officials at Mexico City um, started finding massive graves with hundred people in them. So, uh, and I know William's got a whole bunch still. Lastly, what I have, William, is this new Chinese spy that they found. This is alleged with the indictment. There was an indictment. Lisa's son, a former New York State government employee. Now she is. I, I read it earlier and I got excited, and I was thinking maybe uh, these two governors were indicted too, but no, they weren't. But they knew about it. She was a former aide to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and the current governor, Kathy Hochul. Now,
Deputy director. She wasn't just an aide. She was the deputy director of the state of New York.
Yeah.
just under Miss Hochul, and apparently, no suspicions, I guess.
Yeah.
Ish.
This alleged indictment, it was undisclosed about what type of Chinese government spy she was, but her husband facilitated the transfer of millions of dollars in kickbacks for personal gain, not only for himself but others. It doesn't say who the others were, but she worked for government office, William. She worked for the governor.
Well, she's going to be the top of a complete web of people, but we're never going to hear about them because apparently that's not important.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think I pretty much got it. We did have Mary has sent this to me, but I read about this 2 days ago, Mary, because I always hear I got friends and family in California, and I believe it Del Rey. Am I right? I can't. I'm not going to go with saying I know what the name of the city is, and I should have gotten it.
Oh, Rio?
But they are having
Rio.
landslides, William, and we're talking these landslides are just pushing houses down and just covering them up with the poles.
Well, they build a lot of these homes are built in canyons, basically in slide zones anyway.
Yeah, and they do that. I mean, even even along the coast, it just gets me because it happens every year, and I'm like, duh. These movie stars and rich want to build their homes on the edge to look over the beautiful Pacific Ocean. And then all of a sudden it rains, 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 and all of a sudden Earth gives away. And they say, well, why did that happen? Don't let Kim Jong Un know about that. He'd start killing people. No disasters.
It sounds like that these folks that are building these houses that are on a slope of over 30 degrees, because anything over 30 degrees can slide.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
But they're finding
you can have an avalanche over 30 degrees. You can have a landslide over 30 degrees if the soil becomes saturated. Well, if these people are going to accept their Darwin Award, let them self-extinct themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of like I was saying with the movie stars. They put them right on the edge and they lose it. Or, even, and I hate to say it about Florida and Louisiana, they do the same thing. They want that ocean view. They pay hundreds of $1,000s for a beautiful view. And then this happens, and and then, after they get paid for their house from the insurance company, they rebuild where? On the edge again. And I don't, sometimes I wonder if they just do it on purpose just to get a new house every few years. I don't know, William.
They got more money than sense, whatever.
Yeah. And so, William, the hostages, we are still looking at no resolution for the hostages that are being taken over there. But Iran is increased their bombings. And so now we have Iran once again saying that even new recruits, they say the ones that come in with basic training are so dumb they're not even going to know how to fight. And,
oh, this is terrible, but I'll just add to this. The Commodore, who is a main leader on a destroyer called the John S. McCain. He a picture was taken of him doing. They were doing a photo shoot, something like that, and he had a weapon shooting out off the side of the boat with a rifle. Unfortunately, the Marines saw this picture, and he had the scope on backwards. And so on social media, the Marines just gave this person the hardest time, you know. So he was removed Friday. His job is to escort the USS Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier. And so now we've got somebody that's been put in temporarily. So she's like Lieutenant Commodore. Her name's, let me see, Allison Christie. Well, as soon as they had her in and they took her picture, the next thing, there's a big social media thing about, well, is she transgender? And so that went on for a while until one of the sites got a bio completely done on her. No, she's not. She's transgender. She's just makeup phobic.
Yeah.
So they can't win out there. That's not giving the Iranians an idea of fear.
Yeah, and see, I was saying earlier, we had the Houthi not just going after one boat. They went three this time, and the United States folks looks weak, and we're going to get all these little terroristic groups that do little. They do terrorist like the three ships. They're going to feel free to do that if they know nothing's wrong, or we won't do nothing about it, which we haven't. We didn't do nothing about Afghanistan. We just let them take what we wanted, and then we negotiated, and we got a little bit back, but they still had tons of prisoners.
So the Biden administration is known for not proactivity on the foreign stage. They react to things that have already happened. And then they have conferences, process. They have process. And, that's how they work. It's the way they do things.
Yeah. And now Waltz, he's Kamala Harris's vice president, right? His motorcade was in a small fender bender this morning. I don't know if any of you knew that. He's okay. A few Secret Service had to be taken to the hospital, but they were released. But they had a fender bender, and that was all they said, William. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Who ran into him? What's going on?
So they had a fender bender Monday as well, but it was just the press pool, and they had one person with a broken arm. So now they've had two fender benders in 3 days. I don't know why that's happening.
I think it's a plan by Mohammed and his right hand officers.
It's happening, it's happening, right? You can't deny it forever if it keeps happening. It's like if you're in the middle of the South China Sea and a boat hits you, okay, you've had a boat wreck. Well, if they hit you twice, it's not a boat wreck anymore. It's an assault, right?
That's right. That's right.
You got to wake up to it. And, it is what it is.
Yeah. Goodness, there was something else going on over, I should have wrote down.
Ukraine, Israel, South China Sea, France. Those are all in the news recently. Is it any of those?
You there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting for you to continue.
I was trying to help you.
Okay. You got quiet. I was like, is he going to say something else? Silence. Okay. Biden is accusing, and we've talked about this, is accusing Putin of interfering in the elections. Folks, China does it. Putin does it. Everybody sticks their. I mean, we even had Cyprus in the 2016 election was trying to interfere. Um, who anybody and everybody's going to interfere, and is it going to change things? Maybe, maybe not, maybe not. So,
So Americans have to understand the United States, even at this moment, is the preeminent superpower.
mm-hmm.
When the leader of the free world is elected, everybody wants to have a say.
Their say, that's
even
right.
if they don't have the say.
Yeah.
So we have to expect it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We are, by de facto, the world's policeman. At the end of World War II, we had
right.
during that war 104 aircraft carriers in the water. Nobody else had anything. We owned the world after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't want to take over territory. We just wanted the fighting to stop. And by de facto, we've become the world's policeman.
Yeah.
Because there was
well, not only
else.
that, but we pay for not only being the world policeman, but whatever military equipment or ammunition or humanitarian aid. Because if everybody remembers, Trump was saying they need to pay their fair share. We'll pay ours, but yeah, before we do it, they need to pay their fair share because that's what's decided in with the UN and some of these big conferences that they have. G20
these democratic socialist countries in Western Europe cannot support themselves. They've never been able to support themselves. They use the interest off the loans of the American people to pay for those governments through our banking system. It's a tax on all of us. But we were supposed to only be taxed through tariffs with shipping from other countries. But then the tax system came to the United States. Then we had the Jekyll Island thing, and so a takeover of our banks, right, by Rothschilds and so forth. And we've been taxed ever since, right, by our going to the banks instead of saving before we buy things. So that is what it is, okay? We've supported Europe since before World War II, and we've paid for the defense of Europe.
And now, go ahead.
It's time. It's kind of time for them to step up, I would say.
Yeah, and see the step up, but then Ukraine is going through a sort of election, and Zelensky's administration is stepping down and away from him now.
So eight prime ministers on the civilian side of the government have tendered their resignations. Okay, so the foreign prime minister for diplomatic affairs, just down the line, armaments prime minister, and you go down the civil and military planning, directing, getting arms to.
And he probably thinks like I do, and he thinks this is a petty war. This is a stupid war.
So apparently Ukraine is very stable. Sarcasm there. Belarus, when Wagner's director marched north toward Moscow, and then was died in an accidental aircraft incident. Belarus swore that if anybody attacked Russia, that they would come into the war. So Belarus is now building up on the border of Ukraine.
So is Georgia too.
At the current time is with our Secretary of Defense, and they want to be able to use our long-range missiles to attack strategic targets deep within Russia. Long-range missiles now. So first it was F-16s, right?
Yeah.
And then they shot down one of their own aircraft, apparently, with Patriot missile. Bad day for those pilots. They didn't get to eject. And so I don't know if they're being successful with the 16s or not. But now they need long-range missiles. So what happened was Ukraine, as they've tried to go up and control Kursk, decided that they're going to have an election for the new democratic area of Kursk to be part of Ukraine, right? Just like Russia did with the Donbass. So they're doing the same thing, you know. And so they put up, you know, hundreds of drones to attack Russia. Russia shot down a bunch of them. Well, Russia fired back. And they didn't fire just, you know, 100 or so. And they were powerful missiles. And Ukraine has just been pummeled. They've had buildings half blown down. It's been a ruthless exchange. That's what war is.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a ruthless killing of each other. So let's not go sugarcoat it. But what was supposed to happen? What did they expect would happen when they attacked Russia?
Yeah.
We sent those long range so that we could ensure that they could reach people in the Donbass and protect them if they wanted, right? So there was no ambiguity that we could attack Russian fighting troops in those areas. And it would be powerful enough to deter Russia from invading Ukraine.
Yeah.
Well, now Russia has to invade Ukraine to save face. We're talking about the East here. We're not talking about the West. Okay? In the East, you have to save face.
And you know, it's a war that it was a war that never should have started, because it was just a civil war with the Azov Battalion and Russian Russia people. And when they demanded, and this is when a lot of them fled to Crimea, when Ukraine demanded that those in Ukraine and beyond, you know, Belarus and Georgia, they had to speak only Ukraine. And if they were caught speaking Russian, they would be locked up. And then they start shooting them. And it's like, no, that's ain't going to happen, because Senator Graham and Durbin and a few others were over there, and were having peace talks. And this was back early, I'm going to say 2013 through 2017. They were having peace talks. So, I mean, and so you guys can see how long this has been running. And then once they started bringing in the corruption czars, is, you know, per se, that's when they started going after Russians on the border for both sides, to kick Russian families out. So this is a very, very long war that don't need to be happening.
So I want to explain something. When two countries attack each other over a border, it's a border skirmish. Okay? It's a war. When three countries engage in that war, now you have a regional war.
Yeah.
Since this new administration, we've had skirmishes in the South China Sea between the Philippines, China, and it looks like Vietnam's about to get involved, and so is Taipei. So skirmishes. In the West, more west, in Southwest Asia, towards Africa, we've got a regional war between Israel, Lebanon, and Gaza and the Houthis and Iran.
William, let me
It's
run
war.
let me run something.
Then we've got a regional war about to start in Ukraine if Belarus gets involved. These things are like forest fires. If you feed them, they spread. It's just like adding oxygen to a forest fire. You have to water them down and put them out. You have to starve them of weapons until they can't kill each other in large numbers anymore. And it goes from being a war just to something like not being settled. Just being kind of up in the air right at a border, right? So you don't exactly have a war. You just have unrest on a border. This administration hasn't figured that out in 4 years.
No, because they don't have no foreign affair policies. See, that was my big one with when they both got in. It was like, oh my gosh, there's no foreign affairs people in place. We had people like Jake Sullivan, Ray. We had Harris, which is I have always been taught and knew that your vice president does your foreign affairs. Well, she wasn't even a good border czar. We got to get people in, and that's where I'm big on the military being in office. Is most of what the United States does is foreign affairs, giving, taking, fighting, and military, and then the upkeep of keeping our country running. But we just don't have no foreign affairs no more.
We don't have foreign affairs that are proactive. They have information they're not acting upon. And when they don't act, they react after something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of too late to do something small to stop something that's about to grow big. Now you got to do something much bigger. And they're reticent to do it. Why? Because they want to do things through councils rather than by individual decision. Biden is where the buck stops. And it doesn't matter what your argument is in the United States, okay? Homeland Security, DOJ, it doesn't matter. When it comes to enforcement and U.S. policy, it stops at the president's desk. He's on vacation. He's on vacation.
Yeah. And he probably will be till, we're not even, not even 2 months away now, 60 days maybe from election. Yeah, he's going to be there the rest of the time.
He's on the Delaware coast, collecting sunshine.
Eating ice cream.
That a person should collect some sunshine. And he's about to go to the Virgin Islands or whatever when it gets cold in Delaware. It's just the way it is for this.
He's going to go. He's going to go do the Love Boat cruise with his wife and half a dozen women.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've seen pictures of him in the chair. He's looking awfully
He'll be able to sniff again, William. He'll be able to sniff, yeah. Yeah, I can see it happening already. I don't know if you guys are watching. You just have to kind of watch him in the background of things he does, and he's sniffing again. So, all right, William, that is it for the show, and we will be back on Friday for trivia. William, you're going to win trivia this week.
I will. I the girls kind of.
Yeah, well, it was Karen and Linda this last week. Everybody forgot, but we got. Oh wow, we had a lot of views after the fact. But it was like Linda and Karen were like neck and neck, and Linda was like, I don't think I got that many points, but she did. So that's what's coming up Friday.
Osborne one, I think.
Yeah. And I will be doing lifestyle news on Friday right before trivia. Everybody seems to like the lifestyle news. So, and then William, we'll start building this up. Get your show back on the roll.
We need your puppy news. Just
Oh
before
yeah.
we close.
Anybody that wants to know about what's going on with my dog, watch the very beginning of Lifestyle News from tonight. I don't really want to go all over it again, but because I gave really good info. So I mean, you don't got to watch the whole Lifestyle News, but go on back and watch, and it gives information on my dog, and he was near death not even a week ago. We thought I was calling everybody saying I'm going to lose him. I don't know what to do. I'm going to lose him.
It's looking promising now. So
Yeah. So, okay. So, William, thanks a lot for being here tonight. And I know we didn't have a whole bunch, but I think the school shooting overrides it all. And we got to go beyond. I mean, we just can't. Okay, here's here's all the chatter and the shooting and shooting. We got to start talking about this, and we got to start getting together with the school officials and doing something to stop
I got
this.
some additional information on the president shooting.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Go ahead.
So as it turns out, the second ring of security was not Secret Service. Now, the inner ring right around President Trump was. They were short, some of them, but they were there. Secret Service. The second ring of security is basically within the crowd, all right? But it's a ring all the way around, 360 degrees around the president. And they weren't Secret Service. They were Homeland Security. They were Homeland Security that were basically, we'll just call them virgins to this whole Secret Service work. So they had a seminar, okay, PowerPoint presentation. About half of it lost the audio. So they had a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation, and then they were ready to protect the President of the United States. Not like basic training, not like how to engage and disengage from and not be distracted by people they shouldn't be distracted by and pay attention to people they should pay attention to. That was all abstract for them before they came to this event. So, yeah, that was a failure, guys. Just saying. Now, supposedly, the Secret Service sharpshooter that shot the individual on the roof that shot the president, he was not Secret Service. He was a county sheriff's SWAT. And thank God he was only on the ground. He wasn't perched on a building, but he made the shot that in the end protected the crowd and the president from more incoming. So that's big information. It just trickled out here the other day.
So
through Danny Bongino.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it. And that's everybody asked about my cup. Let me see. I'll put it up here. I got a damn Bongino cup. So I got this a long time ago, over a year ago. So, all right, folks, that is it. William, now you get to relax, but you got to collect a whole bunch of info for Monday. So we'll be back with William on Monday, and maybe, I'm getting better, getting stronger. My dog's good as far as everything goes. So maybe we can start getting the shows on a roll. So, okay, William, we'll see you on Friday for trivia, and then we'll have William back on Monday. And thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So Dark Man is out.
Yeah. So, okay. And we thank you all for watching. Please subscribe and ring that bell. Hit the likes. We need all the thumbs up that we can get, and tell your friends and family about us. Good night. Okay, William, good show. Okay, I'll give you a call and